Hey there everyone, my name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch and to my garden where we are going to be starting our harvesting. I'm very excited about this. I've just basically been pulling off little bits of things out of the garden over the last couple of weeks, but I haven't had anything substantial to harvest. And even though today, each individual thing that we're going to harvest, I don't have a ton of it to pick. But once we are done getting everything I need to get out of the garden, I think we're going to have a fair bit to start to preserve for our winter pantry, which I'm quite excited about. So for those of you that are new here, I garden in a zone 3B in British Columbia, Canada, and I have around 110 frost-free days. So our growing season is very short, but I try to pack as much in there as I possibly can. We pull thousands of pounds of food out of our garden each and every year, and we preserve it in a variety of different ways. I can a ton. I love to can. We have a root cellar. I have a freeze dryer. I dehydrate some things. What else do I do? Ferment. I like fermenting as well. So all different ways of preserving this food. I found something really cool in my garlic patch that I completely forgot that I had planted. Let me show you. There's lots of different varieties of garlic, but there are basically two main kinds of garlic that you can grow. That's softneck garlic, and that is usually grown in longer growing seasons than we have, and it has the longest storage ability. And then there's hardneck garlic, which grows best in the north. That's what we grow primarily. I've never tried growing softneck garlic before, but I decided last year, and I'd completely forgotten about this, to try a few and see if I could be successful growing them here. The reason that I remembered that is because hardneck garlic varieties will grow garlic scapes, which are, where did I see one? This guy right here. This is a garlic scape, and hardneck varieties of garlic will grow garlic scapes, but softneck varieties generally don't. They also have a different way that they mature. Generally, softneck varieties of garlic are ready to pick when about 5 or 6 leaves have died back and they have fallen over a little bit. Whereas hardneck varieties, usually it's about 3 or 4 leaves on the very bottom of the plant. Let me show you here. So you can see here we have some dying back starting to happen at the bottom of these garlics. So I'm looking for 3 or 4 of those to die back completely and get crispy, and that will tell me that the garlic itself is ready. With the softneck varieties, like I said, they tend to fall over. I grew 2 different varieties of softneck garlic in Chilium, which is an artichoke variety, and Giant Kettle Valley, which is a British Columbia variety of softneck as well, also an artichoke variety. So we're gonna pick a couple of those, and then I want to pick a couple of my hardneck varieties too, and just kind of compare the two. Apparently you end up with more cloves with the softneck variety, so we shall see. But first I'm just going to go through here quickly and pull off any of these scapes that I missed. So the reason that we're pulling these scapes off is so that our garlic bulbs grow bigger. This is where the flower, it's actually not a flower, can't remember what it was called, a bulbulus I think it might be called, that it forms at the end of these scapes, and the plant puts a lot of energy into growing those, and you want that energy to go into bulbing up your bulb. So most people will pull these off, which I do, and then you can turn these into all kinds of things. I actually just turn them into garlic scape salt, which is really good. You can also do garlic scape powder with them. Okay, I think that is about it. Oh, no, there's another one. So there's our first little harvest of the day. I use this little aluminum wheelbarrow to do most of my garden harvesting. It's super light, and I can wheel it up right onto my deck and even right into my kitchen, which I do when I have it filled right up. But it is also enough space that I can harvest a lot into it. So I love that. Okay, let's look and see. This one looks like it might be splitting. Let's pull that out. Oh, look at that, it is. So remember I was sharing with you the other day about you do want to watch your garlic when it starts getting to the point of maturity, especially if you're having a lot of rain, which we currently are, because it can split. So can you see how the bulbs are kind of coming out there? Peel this back. You can see right there. So that is what you want to be watching for. So now that I know this is happening, I'm just going to go through all of this garlic and see if I need to pull a bunch more, because I don't want to lose all this beautiful garlic. So generally speaking, this kind of garlic, look at how big that is. This kind of garlic is not going to store very well, but that's okay because I'm just going to run it through the food processor and freeze dry it. So anything that is looking like this on the top where the leaves are starting to loosen, I'm just gonna pull. Oh, darn it, and I pulled that one right off. So I'm gonna have to get a shovel and pull that one out. Just a little teeny tiny one. Total change of plans now. I'm actually going to pull all of my garlic, except potentially the soft neck. We'll wait until we get all this out and get up there and make a decision about that. But this is how much I've already had to pull that is starting to split. I feel like it's best to pull it now, since just checking the weather forecast, we're supposed to have 2 more days of fairly heavy rains. So I just feel like it's probably best to do that. And honestly, I'm not sad about the size of these. The size are looking pretty darn good. So yeah, I guess that's what we're doing. So generally you want to pick your garlic when the ground is dry, when it's dried out a little bit, just so that it's a little bit cleaner. But I am going to be curing my garlic in the little greenhouse that you can see over there. And once it's all dry, I'll be able to shake all of the dirt off and just rub it all off. And this isn't a massive amount of garlic, so it's not the end of the world. The garlic on this end is much smaller than the garlic up over there, and I was trying to rack my brain as to why that might be. But if you look back when I planted this garlic, whoops, back in the end of October, beginning of November, somewhere in that range, my chickens were out because I let my chickens come out in the fall when the garden is mostly harvested. And they were constantly digging up the garlic on this end. So I finally just covered it with some weed barrier to keep them out of it, but I think the damage had been done at that point. So the garlic on this end is a little teeny tiny. I'm gonna go grab a shovel just to loosen the soil around these to make them easier to pull up. I left an entire clove in there by accident. It must have been one that grew from last year. So I have a big clump of garlic here, so we can just tear these apart. Surprisingly decent sizes. The nice thing about pulling it out when the ground is moist like this is that the garlic comes out fairly easily. Okay, this little patch here is our soft neck, so let's give that a pull. Wow, they are bigger, that's for sure. And are kind of starting to split a little bit, but not softening. Oh, a little bit of softness on the stem. Let's pull another couple. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Okay, interesting. So these are 2 right beside each other, but this one is starting to form a little garlic seed off there. So I wonder if that's why there's such a huge difference between the sizes. But I think that it's probably in my best interest to pull these now. I mean, they're looking fantastic. So that's what I'm gonna do. These ones, I'm not sure if on the soft neck if on the soft neck garlic, if this part is called something different. On the other ones, I think it's called bulbous, but I wonder if this is the same. Garlic growers out there, let us know. But definitely gonna pull all this since that's happening. But the size of these, my friends, oh my goodness, look at that. That's awesome. Definitely much bigger. Who says you can't grow soft neck garlic in the north? Apparently you can. and I think that these are gorgeous bulbs, and size-wise, they are bigger than the Hardneck. So apparently garlic braids, you've seen those garlic braids that look all beautiful, that's done with softneck garlic variety. So maybe I'll try my hand at that with these once they're cured and all dry. Wow, these are just beautiful. I guess the bonus of the Hardneck is you do get the scapes if you like scapes. Well, that is not too shabby for garlic. Not enough garlic to last us the entire year, but enough to get us well into the winter, which is great. Next year, I really should plant 2 rows. I will have a blog post that I'll link for you down in the show notes that will give you a rundown of all the different varieties that I planted this year. About half of this was actually my own garlic seed, which was a purple Russian, I believe it was, that I had saved from the previous year and planted. And it was actually the one that did kind of halfway between the ones at the end that did terrible and the ones at this end, the soft neck varieties. As far as size, they were nice sizes, so happy with that. My little greenhouse is a multi-purpose building. We originally built it to actually grow in, but we outgrew it really quickly, so we got the high tunnel, which is right over there. I use this to move my seedlings from my grow room inside out when I outgrow my grow room space, and I get to keep them in here until they're ready to go out into the garden. I also use this to cure all of my garlic and all of my onions. My little greenhouse also doubles as a catch-all for stuff throughout the summer. So I'm just gonna have to clean off my shelves. I'll usually put all of my frost blankets or netting or anything like that along the top. So I'll move that all onto the top, and then we'll just lay out the garlic on these wire shelves in here. And I also have vents in here that I can keep open just to have it have good airflow. Okay, let's get this cleared out here. All right, friends, I was not expecting to do this giant harvest at all. So I'm gonna go inside, have some iced tea, wash up and cool off because I am roasting hot. And then I'll come back out in the garden with you shortly and we will do some more picking. All right, friends, we are now back feeling much cooler than I was. I have my big hat on to keep myself cool outside because it is nice and warm out here right now. And we are here by my green stalk that houses a lot of the herbs that I am growing this year. And I love having all of my herbs right here, especially right by the kitchen. So the permanent location of this herb tower is going to be, and also the beautiful petunias that you can see back there, is going to be on our deck. Dan is in the process of building it right now. It has been a much bigger project than we originally anticipated due to the fact that it wasn't built to code. So Dan had to take the entire thing down. We thought we were going to be able to repurpose some of it, and we weren't, and put in new footings for the entire deck and all of that. So I'll give you a tour of the new deck, which I cannot wait to have done. I'm very much missing being able to sit out on my front deck and enjoy the beautiful view of the hayfields. But I'll show you when he is all finished. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks or so, he will have the majority of it built. So then both of these green stalks will be able to be out on there. The petunias will be much happier with more sun because they don't get a ton of sun where they are there, and they're just going to explode, and I can't wait for that. But what we're here to do right now is do some harvesting on the herbs here. I have been harvesting off of this consistently since I planted it, but we have some things that are like the oregano right here, for instance, that I'm going to be able to cut right back and probably get another flush off of it. I have a couple of different kinds of mint to harvest. This is an apple mint here. Let me show you one of these leaves. They're kind of a little bit fuzzy. Smells absolutely amazing, really good in iced tea. Just absolutely delicious. So I'm going to cut a little bit of that back. I had a basil in there that just wasn't thriving, so I just pulled that out and popped this in here the other day. I have some English thyme that is actually bolting here. It's flowering, so I'm going to cut that right back as well. I should have done that about a week ago. What else do we have that we can harvest off of here? So we have lots of herbs that we can harvest from here right now. So I'm just gonna go get a big bowl to put all those in rather than bring my wheelbarrow up, and then we'll head back down to the garden and do all the harvesting that we have to do down there. We're about to have some dirt bikes go past. It's gonna be noisy for a second. This one is a chocolate mint and it smells so good. So this tower is going to look not fantastic by the time I'm finished cutting everything off, but within another 2 weeks, it's just going to explode again. Okay, I actually have a whole bunch of peppermint down in the main garden to pick. So I think I'm gonna leave this bowl just for the mints because there's so many different kinds of mints. I'm just gonna mix these up because these are just for winter tea. I love mixing chamomile with mint for tea. This bowl, friends, I wish so much that you could smell this. Smell, because it smells just so incredibly delicious. The mix of all of these different kinds of mints, the pineapple, the chocolate, the, what else did I have in here? The apple mint, and then just the regular mints, just smells incredible. So we're gonna put that there because we'll bring that down to the garden with us. I'm gonna go grab another bowl for the rest of these herbs. So I'm gonna put all this mint in this bowl and use the smaller one to collect up the other herbs. I am absolutely sold on the green stalks for herbs. I have never, one, had such nice looking herbs, and two, found it so easy to actually stay on top of harvesting them. Having them right by the house like this and being able to just come out and snip some off when I'm cooking too, is just absolutely fantastic. This one is our French tarragon, so snipping right off. So our winter savory, our English thyme, parsley, sweet marjoram, and this is our lemon verbena. So remember, we harvested a ton off of this about 2 weeks ago now. So I'm basically going to do the same thing again as we did last time. And I use this for tea, the lemon verbena. Someone was asking about that. Most of these are culinary herbs, but some of them, the mints in particular, I use for making tea. Also the lemon balm as well, but this isn't really big enough. I could probably harvest a little bit off of this, but not really big enough to make it worth my while, so I'll let those grow out a little bit more. What else do we have? We have oregano. Oregano is always so prolific. It's a lot of oregano. Okay, so now all of our herbs, oh, we'll take this one too. This one is the Thai basil. So we'll clip back the Thai basil, and then everybody will have had a haircut. There we go. So just off of this one green stalk, we got all of these gorgeous herbs. Isn't that beautiful? And then all of this mint. So pretty satisfied with that. Very small amount of space that this takes up. One thing that I will say when it comes to growing in one of these green stalks is do make sure that you plan for regular fertilizing. They need fertilizer at least every 2 weeks or so, even a little bit more when it comes to the ones that have heavy feeders and flowers like those, like that beautiful petunia one over there. But outside of that, and also watering, they do require the same kind of pretty intensive watering that any container does, because obviously they dry out pretty quick, especially in full sun. And one of the other things to consider as well is they do spin. They do sell these little spinners, and which I would definitely recommend getting. So I do turn this because this side over here is the north side, so it doesn't get any direct sun. So I just give this a turn every, I don't know, whenever I walk past, I think about it just to make sure that everything is getting an even amount of sunlight. Okay, friends, so do you remember when I had my mint issue in my sprout box raised bed that's here, and I ended up having to take it, remove all the soil from it, put many layers of plastic in underneath and fill it with fresh soil so that I could grow all of these beautiful dahlias and gladiolas in here? Well, the reason for that is because when I first planted out this little bed that's in around my little greenhouse, I put mint in here. I didn't really realize that mint spreads the way that it does. Most plants that are invasive in warmer climates get killed off in the wintertime here. Mint's not one of those. So if you live in the north, plant mint in containers and make sure that those containers are lifted up off the ground, because those little rhizomes will get into your ground and just spread everywhere. So needless to say, I have copious amounts of mint right here in this area, and so we're going to harvest it because why not? I am a big Earl Grey tea drinker, and that's what I drink pretty much every day. I have some in the morning, and then usually I have some in the afternoon when I wake up from my afternoon nap. I am an afternoon napper, I swear, by the afternoon nap. I can't really do caffeine anytime after around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It just keeps me awake at night. So I have taken to drinking peppermint and chamomile tea, a mix of the two, and I really love it. So I do want to freeze dry a whole bunch of mint for tea. It really does just spread absolutely everywhere. Let me show you. So I planted it originally right here, just a little patch of it, and somehow it has grown all the way around this side of my greenhouse. So we're gonna harvest all this. Lots and lots of it. This beautiful plant that you can see right here, this is Russian tarragon, and it grows huge, and I did not know that when I planted it here. This is about 8 years old now, this plant. All of this growth that you can see here is this year's growth. I cut it right down to the ground. I actually ripped some of it out because it was just kind of taking over this space. And the sad part is I don't really use tarragon that much, but the way that I harvest this is I grab some like this and I just run my fingers along it like so, and then the leaves come right off. And it's just a very, I don't know, a mild kind of smell compared to French tarragon, which has much more of that tarragon smell that you're used to. This is really, really mild. So I actually don't even harvest a ton of this, and maybe eventually we'll end up just taking this right out and going and putting it in the forest garden just because it is beautiful. I just don't really use it. I have a little bit, I don't know if you can see this, but some chamomile. This is what chamomile flowers look like, that's self-seeded back there. In fact, all the chamomile that we're going to harvest from this year are all plants that self-seeded. We are going to harvest the flowers, and that's going to be for our evening tea. You can be pretty ruthless with these. You can take all the flowers off because they will send up more. This area right here is a jungle area that every year I say that I'm going to attend to and do something with, and every year I don't. It just turns into a big jungle of mostly mint and Russian tarragon. I have another little self-seeded patch right here. Look at how beautiful this dahlia is. Isn't it gorgeous? And the dark red ones back there. Oh, look at this, you guys. So exciting. We have our very first poppies blooming. These are the first ones of the year. These are a California poppy. They tend to be earlier than some of the other ones. That's so exciting. For those that are new, this is my poppy bed. And I have planted almost exclusively poppies. There are a few other wildflowers in there as well, but almost exclusively poppies. And I just cannot wait until they all start blooming. It's just gorgeous. I have some beautiful fennel here, so I'm going to pick a little bit of that. Oh, it smells so good. Last year was the first time that I had ever grown fennel, and I didn't think I would love it because of the black licorice kind of flavor. I do not like black licorice at all, but it turns out I absolutely love it. The fennel roots, when they're roasted, are the most delicious thing ever. And of course, the fennel tops smell amazing. This is making me think of dill because it looks very similar to dill. And I do have dill planted, but I like to plant my dill late so that it comes on ready at the same time as my pickling cucumbers. So my dill is just a little short right now. I like to pick my lettuce usually early in the morning before it starts to limp out in the heat, but I forgot. So we're gonna pick some now. Let's go with this one. Looks like it's probably gonna bolt pretty soon. Isn't that gorgeous? And another oak leaf over here. Isn't that beautiful? I have another little volunteer chamomile right here. This one actually has lots of flowers on it, so we're going to pull all of them off. Little tiny harvest of those. But for the first time, I grew Chinese cabbages. That's what these ones are here. and not quite ready to harvest yet, but they are starting to head up. So we're going to be able to be eating these cabbages. This will be our fresh eating cabbages, probably within about 2 weeks, which is very exciting. These are some purple acre cabbages here. I love making sauerkraut out of a mix of both just because it looks really pretty. So that's what these are as well is for the sauerkraut. I have felt like the gardening season this year has taken so long to start taking off, but all of a sudden it just feels like everything has just jumped into high gear and is growing like crazy. And within the next couple of weeks, we're going to be harvesting loads like this and even larger out of the garden every single day, which I cannot wait. So let's head back up to the house now and get all of this stuff prepped to go into the freeze dryer. So all I'm doing here is removing all of the leaves off of the stems, and then it's just going to go right into my freeze dryer. And I always get asked whether I think a freeze dryer is worth the expense. And my response always is, if you are preserving a lot and you want kind of the highest quality level of nutrition in the products that you're preserving, then a freeze dryer is 100% worth the money. We buy all of our freeze-dried meals actually from NutriStore, and I have reconstituted those and have really liked them. So reconstituted meals I like, but I never have enough leftovers to warrant running through the freeze dryer, or I don't usually have time to make enough meals to freeze dry. I'd rather just make meals maybe a week or two ahead if I know that I have a busy week coming, and throw those in the freezer and then just pull them out of the freezer and have them that way. So freeze drying meals is not something that I really do, but if that's something that you think you would do and you've tried freeze-dried food before, I would highly recommend buying some freeze-dried food and trying it and seeing if it's something that works for you. I feel like if it's something that you're having to really pinch pennies for and it's going to take money away from somewhere else in your budget where it could be better spent, then I think dehydrating, canning, freezing, all of those kinds of food preservation methods are good. Now, the one thing about the freeze dryer is that the nutritional properties of the food are much higher than with other food preservation methods. It retains something like 96% of its nutritional value because it's only removing the water and it's not heating it, so it's not altering it in any way. So if that's a concern for you, then that would be another motivation to maybe consider purchasing one. So yeah, that's just my two cents on it. I am grateful and happy to have one, but I would be able to preserve and do everything that I do without one. So that's my thoughts on it. For the smaller mints, like the chocolate mint here, I'm not actually taking the leaves off because for my tea, I can just put this whole thing in there. So that makes it really easy to get it on the tray. Okay, friends, that is going to be it for me today. I'm going to spend the next little bit taking all of these leaves off of this copious amounts of beautiful mint that we have here. I hope that you enjoyed hanging out with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye, everybody.